set in particular was dominant.
Have to correct ourselves off that first West Virginia kill, as there's a service error by the Sun Devils to even this opening set. That was Layla Ibrahim, not Trinity Sheridan. Both of them are going to be focal points in this offense for Jen Greeny.
She loves to run offense through the middle. She said maybe it's a little bit selfish. I was a middle, but she's structured some great teams around her middles.
That was rough first contact from Miller, but she got back to it. Mountaineers will clean it up right through the middle.
Yeah, Ibrahim again that time. Known more for her defense, 9th in the Big 12 in blocks per set, but someone who's found some offense over the course of this year, the Canada native, working hard on that side of the ball.
Nina Horning will serve. She got it in. First ace of the match for Nina Horning.
And that is kind of the inflection point, Jack. I think in this match for West Virginia, the goal of Jen Greeny's programs is to be elite serving the ball all year long. They've kind of vacillated between a lot of success and a lot of struggles.
That was well done. Colby Neal, that time moving toward the far side antenna, Gavin, and we saw her. She owned the middle against Cincinnati.
JJ Van Niel saying, look, you can use the slide. Well, I'm going to set up arguably the best middle blocker in the Big 12. She had 13 kills and then 8 blocks. Offense, defense, everything for the senior on senior day.
One of the 5 seniors on senior day, Sydney Henry, another will serve. Was there a touch? There was not. Another attacking error by the Mountaineers. So 4-4 opening set. The Sun Devils off to a better start than what they had against Cincinnati. Lost that opening set 25-21.
Yes.
Gavin, what a player she has become here in Tempe.
Tracking towards All-American status, is semifinalist for the AVCA National Player of the Year, one of 14. One of the best in the country, showing you what she can do early.
There she is, Trinity Sheridan.
I mean, that is just a monster attack. You can see just how easily she elevates. Watching their competitive game against Iowa State, that's what stood out to me. Just gets high and generates a whole lot of power on that swing.
So we've already kind of seen the way that West Virginia is going to set up against Arizona State as Neal cleans that up for the Sun Devils. If you want to avoid the block, that's something you asked Jen Greeny about, you have to be really precise down the line. So you're either going to get the kill or you're going to get an attacking error. But so far, no blocks for the Sun Devils.
There hasn't been a lot of defense for either team. Feels like whichever team has gotten a clean grasp of it in an initial pass has scored.
That was Maggie Elliott, number 12, tracking that down by the scorer's table. West Virginia hasn't had a ton of answers for Colby Neal near the front. That's turned aside by the Sun Devils. That's Sheridan taking flight for the kill.
This is cool. A little bit of history for West Virginia. First ever trip to Tempe. We talked about it a little bit before, Jack. Incredible start to the year under Jen Greeny. 12-0 in non-conference. Just 3-14 in the best conference in America, according to RPI. They're trying to end this year on a high.
Glover is kept alive. This play near the back line. Glover will try again. Noemi Glover, her second kill of the match.
Look, it was something when we had Cincinnati and talked to Coach Tomich, she mentioned about Noemi Glover. You look at the shot chart, there's not really a scouting report on her, but she hits it all over the court, down the line, opposite, has a cut shot. Just a really dynamic offensive threat.
Off a block, touch and in. Maddie McGath getting in on the act. Just under 2 kills per set. She had 5 kills against Arizona, but Gavin, that was a match where West Virginia really struggled offensively. They hit just .028 as a team. That was a season low. Had 24 attacking errors. You would think that would improve against Arizona State, but they're off to a pretty efficient start.
They're hitting 300 so far. Arizona State, best opposing hitting percentage in the conference is Miller. Can't track that one down. Sun Devils defense tends to get stronger as we go.
And again, in this opening set, just like we saw against Cincinnati, it's the first contact for the Sun Devils. Not as clean as JJ Van Niel would like.
A really sloppy start. Remember, they dropped that first set, you said it, 25-21 against the Bearcats. I'm sure it was an emphasis for Arizona State to get off to a better start.
Glover went with something soft there as a change of pace, but the Mountaineers were ready. Right through the middle, Maddie McGath standing tall, 6'2" junior out of Brookfield, Wisconsin. Just about a block per set. 9-7 Mountaineers. Tatum Parrott, that finds its way through.
Tatum Parrott, somewhat of an up and down year, an All-American, transferred in from GCU where she was statistically the greatest player in their program's history, had to adjust to a much more niche role, and on top of that, just a more physical style of play at the Big 12 level, and it feels like she's fully acclimated now.
Redshirt sophomore Bryn Covell for the Sun Devils served that. Comes over to Kyla Presley. Off the tape, falls on the West Virginia side, and the Sun Devils get a point.
Jack, I know we were on the same page. Kyla Presley, someone who really stood out to us in that match against Cincinnati. She had 6 kills, hit .417, has had some big performances on the year. She'll have a much bigger role next season.
Covell almost got an ace. London Betts didn't get her hands on that. And now West Virginia is out of system. Sheridan has to attempt a left-handed roll shot. Comes back to Parrott. Sheridan slides in to keep it alive. And the Sun Devils pick up their first block. It's Elalami Gora with the rejection. And Lami Gora, what a season she's had. The junior transfer from Long Beach State. And Gavin, now she just needs 3 blocks to tie her career high.
Dreamed of coming to Arizona State out of high school, ended up at Long Beach State, but after putting together a great career there, made her way to Tempe and is shining now.
First service ace for the Sun Devils belongs to Bryn Covell.
Yeah, 24th on the season for her, one of their leaders, filling some big shoes, replacing the departing All-American Argentina
That's turned aside, but the point will belong to West Virginia on the block error. You saw Maddie McGath take flight. She's someone that Jen Greeny pointed to, said she has improved dramatically with her consistency throughout the season. She's one of 3 team captains, and she's back to serve for West Virginia. Bailey Miller handles it. Have to be frames contact to set up any offense. Sheridan, she has been all over the floor tonight, 18 in white. Miller's set, another one. Sun Devils working through their set. Presley got a touch. And we look at these segments of the match where you don't have Noemi Glover and you say, well, who will the Sun Devils go to? So often it's 22 in black and gold. Bailey Miller. Over the course of this year, though, it has continued to be Kyla Presley.
I mean, it's the depth of this Arizona State team, and that's how they've survived the Big 12. We've talked about it. Arguably the best conference in the sport, 15-1 on the year. You don't do that without depth, without a lot of options to survive when your stars are off the court.
But West Virginia is hanging around, trying to end its season on a high note. They are 15-14, 3-14, though, in the conference. They started the season 12-0. That just missed on the back line. And service error for the Mountaineers.
And Jack, that's something to watch. Alexis Finbold, second in the Big 12 in aces at 53. She's also up there in service error, 64 now on the season. And that's the high variance style. Jen Greeny, knowing she's at a talent disadvantage, is going to lean into today. High risk serving. It has to pay off for them to be competitive.
Got to take risks against the Sun Devils. Ibrahim. And a point for the Devils.
Yeah, Layla Ibrahim did not get all of that one. Again, still kind of finding her offense in her senior year. That's a developing part of her game.
Jillian Neal's serve goes over toward Eiley Painter. Sheridan, nice dig by Covell. Sets up Miller, and the Sun Devils get a kill. All set up by the defense of Bryn Covell, who averages about dig and a half per set, and that was a beauty. The Sun Devils starting to open up a little bit of breathing.
Arizona State earlier this season.
Miller rejected. Miller again, left-handed this time. It seems like there will be violation on Arizona State and a point to the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I wonder if Miller made contact with the net. It seems like that's what the comp official's indicating. Miller gave a little point after.
Let's take another look at this, Gavin, as Van Niel has opted not to challenge. Beyond this touch.
You maybe got the top of the net a little bit. Generally, that will not be called if it doesn't interfere with play. So I'm not quite sure, unless she maybe crossed the line with her feet.
Miller tried to dig that out. Presley wheeling around. Wasn't able to haul it in or keep it alive. The Mountaineers, after the timeout, back-to-back points. So good response for Jen Greeny's side. Nina Horning, the junior from Lake Orion, Michigan, leader in kills per set and points per set. Miller. Bailey Miller again. It was her first set on Wednesday night that got the Sun Devils going offensively. Miller was excellent in that opening set. Had 9 kills out of her 19 in the opening frame. Been elite this year on the front line.
Yeah, Bailey Miller, we talked about it during that Cincinnati match, added 4 inches to her vertical this summer. An incredible amount of work in the gym, combining with the Big 12's best blocker in Colby Neal. She averages over 1.5 per set.
And for Sheridan and Ibrahim, it's almost like pick your poison. Sails a little too far for the Sun Devils, because you're trying to hit it around 2 blockers. Do you go after the best in the Big 12, or do you go after Bailey Miller, who just added 4 to 5 inches to her vertical and showed it off right there?
Tough, not a lot of good options. One bit of good news for West Virginia, they rotate in Cassidy Tanton, and she can distract the Arizona State defense a little bit. Auburn transfer with a big right arm, and you have to be a little bit more spread out when she's on the floor, just because it's another threat for West Virginia.
Out of Stoneville, North Carolina. They had 1 kill against Arizona. There's Miller's serve. Former Mountaineer. So it'll be an overpass that the Sun Devils can take advantage of. The Parrot didn't get all of it. This is Tanton. Now Glover. Noemi Glover with the kill. And the Sun Devils with their 19th point of the opening set.
And you'll see how high she gets on this. Has that rare ability to hit over a block, and that can bend a defense, right? Because you start leading up, you want to build that second line, but then you're a little bit too high up.
In the red zone, 5 points away from an opening set victory. As Virginia fell in the opening set to Arizona in Tucson a few nights ago, 25-16. That's 3 points to the black and gold. Tanton denied.
Big time block by Glover. I was going to say, Sun Devil fans watching, they're going to be a little sensitive to a football reference and then a reference to the University of Arizona, given what happened last night. You take another look there. That is Glover. Again, easy elevation.
Tanton goes with the push shot. Now the Sun Devils in transition. They love to go to 10 in these spots. Nothing but smoke for the kill.
And again, set up by their defense. You will hear coaches say it over and over again. A clean first touch keeps you in system and leads to effective offense. Frame, Glover, easy money.
Look at the velocity on that swing. That was well orchestrated by West Virginia. They've gone outside to 10 so many times, this time through the middle with Maddie McGath.
And McGath, 8th in the Big 12, hitting .338 on the year. Again, that is how Jen Greeny is trying to build her program through the middle. You have McGath, you have Ibrahim. They're a starting point for her. It's going to get better and better over the next few years.
Tally Grissom will serve. Parrott goes over the top. Right-handed tap by McGath. And now London Betts will send it across. Off the pass from Glover. She gets it back. It's off the shoulders of Grissom. And another kill for Glover. 5th of the opening set.
I don't think there's a public statistic for tools. I'm sure in-house Arizona State has one.
For an attacking error. Finvold, 13 aces in her last 5 matches. She has 53 on the season entering today's match. 2nd in the Big 12, 18th nationally. She had a match earlier this year with 6.
I believe that tied a school record.
Lamigora off a block. Pinballs around the near side antenna. That bounced on the other side, so the Devils will claim the point. Ella Lamigora. His block assist. Close the book on the opening set. And on the near side, it's a strong kill by Cassidy 10. And you talked about those heavy swings from number 3.
And she's such a difference maker. Missed over a month of the season after suffering a sprained ankle against BYU. got in a little bit against the University of Arizona. This is her first real run to end her season in over a month, so you expect her to be a little bit out of rhythm, but West Virginia, man, they need her.
Nice diving dig by Betts. Comes over to Horning. She almost sidearms that shot. Miller through the block of Ibrahim and Sheridan. Another kill for Bailey Miller.
And I like the adjustment for Miller, right? Really all power going cross-court, overshot at the previous time. Now a little finesse, angling it downhill, able to trip up West Virginia.
You know, Gavin, West Virginia, although the record is what it is, especially in conference, you mentioned this earlier on the broadcast, it's not like the Mountaineers have just been walked over in conference play. They have played strong against really tough competition.
Now they have 9 different matches this year that have gone to 5 sets, and especially when they were healthy. Just the kind of team you don't want to play. Some teams at the bottom of the conference, you said walkovers. West Virginia, again, when they have their players, you know you're in for a fight.
Down the line, Horning with the kill. That was a well-placed swing by Nina Horning.
Yeah, we probably under-discussed her so far in this one. A Cincinnati transfer set.
London Betts will serve. Transfer from Purdue Fort Wayne. Glover left-handed, back corner. Noemi Glover showing off.
And again, we talk about the shot chart for Glover. She went down the line. She had a spike right around the net. What does she do this time? Opposite corner. You don't know what area to leave open because she doesn't have a weakness. She can hit it anywhere at any speed.
So here is the former Mountaineer, Bailey Miller. Just missed with the service error. Now Miller was at West Virginia from 2022 through 23, and she had a very strong career at West Virginia. She was second in kills over that stretch with 339. But it's almost night and day, J.J. Van Niel says, the player that he got to transfer and the player that you're seeing on the court today.
And very similar to Tatum Parrott, as that was an excellent block by Glover that time. You give players like that a lot of credit, right? Instead of going to a situation where they'll have a bigger role, going to a situation where they know they'll have a smaller role. Last season, she was behind 4 first.
About throughout every match with Arizona State volleyball, Noemi Glover's off the floor. That's your go-to right there, 22 in black and gold.
And you love the trajectory, right? Typically, you take a star, you scale down the roll in any sport, they'll usually get more efficient. Now you scale it back up, and she's maintained that. That's incredibly impressive, and it's a testament to the work she put in this summer.
Parrott, and that's blocked. Maddie McGath standing tall, builds the roof and turns it back. West Virginia back on the board.
And McGath, this is just great early work and something Jen Greeny is trying to work on with all of her team. You watch the eye line, tracking the ball, getting there and making a play.
Sun Devils out of system. It's going to be run down by Faith Frame. And just not enough on that diving attempt.
Yeah, great finesse shot by McGath, right? You don't want to predetermine your looks, and you'll see that as players go through their career, getting better and better and better at reading the defense and making a rapid decision.
Straight into the net. And that kind of underscores what Jen Greeny was talking about during the week. We're going to knock down the number 9 team in the country in the class of the conference this year. You got to take chances on serves.
High variance team, and the fact that they're only 11th in aces tells you they haven't been all that successful this season in being aggressive.
Another block for the Sun Devils, but yeah, to your point, I mean, it's right there. It's teed up for us, so Thanksgiving week, it's been feast or famine when they've been back to serve. It's Lami Gora and Presley combining for the block for ASU. How about Lami Gora and Presley again? We'll try the near side again. That time it got through. And a good swing by Cassidy 10. Had to angle her shot to go around Presley and Lami Gora, and did. So the Mountaineers just trying to keep touch with the Sun Devils down 11-8.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of heart today from Cassidy Tanton, right? Final year of her college career. Didn't see a lot of time when she was at Auburn. Finally broke out with West Virginia and then got hurt. And there she is again. This is it for her. She's going to leave it all on the court.
How about 10? This second set forming really well. The Sun Devils just weren't ready for that dump across. But another service error for West Virginia. Four in the match for both sides now. That will be played off the serve from Parrott. Comes near side 10. Did she get a touch? She did not.
And that's something coming off missing a month, right? Obviously, a lot of time in practice, a lot of scrimmages. It's another thing to calibrate your shot in a real game. You have that open area, have to keep it in. A little hard to get a feel for that in your first full match back.
But they keep going her way on the near side. Frame will set. Miller will swing, and it's knocked right back to her. And that was Alexis Finvold credited for the block. All of 5'11", denying Bailey Miller.
I was going to say, Jack, that is a game changer for your defense. When your setter can get up and do that, it just gives you so much more versatility in where you can be positioned on that side of the ball.
And Finvold with the service error. And those are the moments for West Virginia. If they're going to pull off a dramatic upset today, can have that. You get the benefit of your setter with a block, then you get one of the best serves.
We found out, Jack, we did not have her down as someone who would be here on senior day. I thought she was 2 years away. She's a redshirt sophomore, and yet she's graduating early, so she got honored on senior day.
That's incredibly impressive. Jillian Neal, that was like a rock across the net. Just submerged before the West Virginia knuckleball serve. How about that for the Sun Devils just to keep it alive? Presley sending the Mountaineers scrambling, and the Sun Devils turn it around. What a brilliant dig to set it up, and then Presley's kill.
The emergence of Kyla Presley is just a game changer for Arizona State, right? You play the Nebraskas, you play the Kentuckys, you play the Texases of the world, right? They come at you in waves. How many different options do you have at your bench on a particular day? If someone's not playing well, can you go to someone else and they can thrive? That is Kyla Presley late in her sophomore season, redshirt freshman season for Arizona State.
And that dig to set it up was from Jillian Neal. Miller blocked, but that will go out of play. And the Sun Devils now lead 18-10. And Neal continuing to go back to serve, not just because of her great ability to serve, but that dig to set up Presley, showing off her defensive capabilities as well. Younger sister of Colby Neal will go on to play Major League Volleyball after getting drafted by Orlando.
Really nice shot by Sheridan there. Not a name we've said a whole lot in the early going, but you consistently expect that like athletic pop and that power from her. Went a little off speed there to trick the Sun Devils defense.
So it's Eiley Painter to serve. 5 aces on the season for Painter. Sophomore from Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Parrott off first contact. Presley off a block touch and a kill.
Man, Presley, it's just getting better and better throughout these last 2 matches. She's had some big performances. She was baptized by fire. She played middle for the first time since she was in high school against then number 2 Texas because Colby Neal was out. They lost 3-0. She didn't have a great match, but you get the feeling that prepared her for matches with these types of stakes and, of course, the NCAA tournament next week.
Was also a big part of the rotation when Noemi Glover was injured as well. And Kyla Presley, I think she really illuminates what J.J. Van Niel initially loved about getting the chance to build a program here at Arizona State. When he was talking to us, he said, you know, that first recruiting cycle, that first transfer class, I was having trouble getting people just picking up the phone, and now they're starting to flood his inbox. Obviously, the results speak for themselves, Gavin. But Kyla Presley, she was a 4-star recruit. She was an Under Armour All-American. She's a redshirt freshman. She's the type of recruit we're going to expect to see here in Tempe.
I mean, she trusted the vision, right? Because there was nothing solid for J.J. Van Niel to sell. He could say all he wanted. Look, I was really successful at USC. We did this, this, and this. You don't know how it's going to translate to a place in Arizona State that historically has not had a lot of success in volleyball. Seniors from last year, players like Argentina Ung, Claire Jeter, Jelly Sear, who's on the coaching staff now, Mary Schroll, of course, coming back to Tempe. They all believe they became All Big 12, honorable mention All-Americans under J.J. Van Niel. Heck, he had to really convince Noemi Glover, who another player who didn't want to pick up the phone over the summer initially, and he worked and worked and worked, and he said, trust me, if you just come visit, I think you're going to like it. And she's turned into most likely an All-American under his watch.
An All-American because of hustles like that. Although Glover wasn't able to get there, she almost dove into the shoes of fans in the front row. Look at this.
And you love that, right? Look, you're way up on West Virginia, overwhelming favorite to close this out. That is a mentality play. That is a program type of play by Glover to say circumstances don't matter. You lay your body on the line regardless.
If you were concerned, as Zadiska goes back to serve, about the Sun Devils maybe overlooking their last two opponents, let that hustle play from Noemi Glover be your example that the Sun Devils are here in full force, even on Saturday morning. There's still 15 minutes to the noon hour.
And Finvold made contact with the net that time. You saw she tried that dump early. We saw Andy Spees of Cincinnati have a lot of success with that move against the Arizona State defense.
A lot of energy surrounding this program in the desert. The Devils are top 10 in the country. Push shot finds its way in. Just tucked it in the corner. That was well done by Trinity Sheridan.
Yeah, I love the adjustment she's made, realizing she can't consistently win with power against this Arizona State defense. So she's kind of gone finesse and really picked her spots in terms of when she shoots.
Finvold to serve. 53 aces on the season, none today. Glover, that was from deep, but it still puts West Virginia under duress. Miller. Again, change of pace from the Sun Devils in this third set. Now Miller speeds him up and gets a kill.
You can handle the light stuff. Can you handle the heat from Bailey Miller making a statement against her former team?
Take another look. Nothing Nina Horning could do. That's 10. That rumbled off the front line, so Miller gets it back. Overpass cleaned up right in front. Colby Neal.
And I want to shout out a name we haven't said a whole lot. Sydney Henry doing such a good job running this offense. A transfer from University of Missouri, Kansas City, where she was one of the better players in program history. Over 3,300 career assists, 21 matches in her career, over 40. She's consistently found the right hitter for Arizona State.
That's Ibrahim that elevates and terminates for West Virginia. Even at 2, third set.
And for, again, Henry, I mean, just taking on the challenge, coming up to a bigger program, knowing it would be a smaller role, and embracing that for a chance to play high-level college volleyball before her legendary career finishes.
And Neal just trying to run that down. That was tough first contact to handle for Colby.
Jack, I want to circle back on Jen Greeny. I mean, we mentioned it, but just so much success at West Virginia, right? Went to an Elite Eight, won a school record, or at least a record in her time, 26 wins her final year, 6 times in the top 25, 2-time Pac-12 Coach of the Year. I mean, she was a legend in the Pacific Northwest, and she took on a real challenge. She said, look, it took her 6 years to build at West Virginia. Before that, building up Lewis and Clark. She knows she's not going to have access to the elite athletes that J.J. Van Niel does at Arizona State, at least initially. They're trying to build up with fundamentals. This year, a step forward from last season. You got to expect it's only going to continue to get better in Morgantown.
But that's what was initially said about the Sun Devils until J.J. Van Niel got here. It was years ago, the Sun Devils, they didn't have a win in their conference. And now they're the preeminent power in their second season in the Big 12. They've won the conference back-to-back seasons. They've only lost 2 conference games total. So it's certainly possible. And Greeny, she also knows the blueprint because she had it at Washington State.
I mean, her first year at Washington State, or the year before she got there, they were 0-18 in the Pac-12.
Oh, wow. What a heavy swing by Colby Neal. Hammers it down. And the Sun Devils back on the board.
That was angry. That was with bad intention from Colby Neal, saying, hey, it's 4-4. That's cute. I have plans. It's a Saturday. I'm ready to get out of here.
It is still not even afternoon yet in Tempe, Arizona.
Just saying, hey, Jack Johnson has another broadcast tonight. I have to let him get ready.
Yeah, I'm going to be at DFA so long, they're going to start charging me to help for the electric. Sheridan will serve. That'll be ASU women's basketball, looking to continue its best start since the 90s with Molly Miller and the Sun Devils against Southeast Missouri State later on tonight. Still some business to take care of here, and business being done by Noemi Glover once again, team leader in kills for the Sun Devils.
Glover, I believe it was Zadiska diving after it on that back line. Excuse me, no, it was Faith Frey.
Lamigora, right up the seam.
And man, Lamigora, again, she goes from someone who played such a big role at Long Beach State, has a chance to really dial it in and in turn dial up her efficiency, hitting .387 on the season. I believe she's now, let's see what she's 3 for 5 on the day.
Oh, it was well played by Alexis Fidvold, trying to get a little bit more involved as this match goes along. That's her first kill. She's had 20 assists. Yeah, to your point with Lamigora, you talk about a day like today, it's all about the seniors. It's that senior leadership, the captains of the team, but also when you think about the end of this era of Arizona State women's volleyball, you're going to be losing some really good players. Who steps up next year? I don't think you need to look too much further than 25.
And that is sort of the model for J.J. Van Deel, where we asked him, like, how much do you want to rely on the transfer portal? And he said the first few seasons, because volleyball players often commit 2 years ahead of schedule, it wasn't a choice, right? He didn't have the track record to sell. He got a couple of select commits like a Kyla Presley, who he thought were talented enough and would be a great fit. But for the most part, it was the transfer portal, and presumably every year going forward, it'll become more and more four-year players, and that obviously J.J. Van Deel runs such an intricate offense. He said a chance to develop stars for 4 seasons instead of 1 or 2 would be a game changer.
Those are mistakes you cannot make when Trinity Sheridan is on the front line. She capitalizes for another kill. Overpass from Bailey Miller, and look at Sheridan.
I mean, that was just monster athleticism. See how quickly she shoots up to get to that ball. Sheridan, 4th school, 4 years, but she found a home to end her college career at West Virginia.
And that is going to be kept alive for now, but nobody wanted it on the West Virginia side. What a crazy sequence, and the Devils back on the board.
And that is a rare mistake from London Betts, a player whose name we haven't said a whole lot. She's 5th in the Big 12 in digs per set. She was one of the best in the nation last season at Purdue Fort Wayne. West Virginia going to challenge that. Miller actually was able to dig that one out with the pancake, unlike almost any other coach in the nation.
Finvold. It was a hard serve. Alexis Finvold does that better than anyone on the court today. Her first ace.
And again, high variance, right? Up there in service. Arizona season around 65, but now all the way up to 54 aces on the season to counter that. And she still has 1 more year, right? 2 seasons at Louisville, part of a team that made the national championship in 2022, Elite 8 in 2023. Brings that winning energy to West Virginia.
14 aces in her last 6 matches. That's close to the net, and because of that, Miller is turned around. Sheridan and Ibrahim combined for the block.
Yeah, great job by that duo building a roof. Obviously, we've mostly seen it. Sure, perfect timing on those leaps.
Ibrahim, 12th in the Big 12 in blocks per set. Is 110 on the season coming into the day. Just hasn't been able to set up the roof as much as she would have liked in this match. It pinballs around, it's set by Frame, it's back to Miller, and again, it's Ibrahim and Sheridan.
Yeah, that time, though, I don't think it was touched, so Arizona State point there. West Virginia, though, sneakily some separation in this 3rd set, up 13-8 as you take another look. Again, right place, right time, but Miller just able to tool it off the waiting hand of Sheridan.
It landed out of play, point for the Sun Devils. How about that knifing push from Sheridan for the kill?
And I know I've said it a couple times, but you love the battle from West Virginia, right? Easy to just call it a season. They've been swept in 3 of their last 4 matches, not hitting the ball well today at all. They're coming out here and showing some real pride, showing the culture that Jen Greeny is working so hard to build in Morgantown.
We talked about the struggles for West Virginia. That ball went screaming out of bounds. Actually inbounds, a point toward Arizona State.
I saw the same thing you did. I thought there was no way that was it.
So 14-9. It's a replay of a heavy swing from 22.
I mean, just a
Conference realignment that, by and large, forced Greeny to leave Washington State and go to Morgantown, as the Sun Devils will open up after the timeout with the kill. But for Greeny, this entire time, she's been anchored by the same values, and she got those values through a connection with Tony Bennett. Became the head coach for the Virginia Cavaliers and a national champion.
Hey, look, anything that works for Klay Thompson, it can work in any sport. Humility, passion, unity, servanthood, and thankfulness. And that are all qualities Tony Bennett used to build Virginia into a national champion, and now are being applied at West Virginia to hopefully win a national championship one day.
Colby Neal again, just paws that across.
And she is so, I'll use that buzzword again, efficient, hitting .419 on the season, certainly a little better than that after her last 2 matches. If she had enough kills to qualify, that would be leading the Big 12 by a pretty substantial margin.
Horning went cross court with it and just missed.
And Jack, she's filling some big shoes. Obviously, Claire Jeter last season, one of the 10 most efficient hitters in the nation. Colby Neal gives you some of that same profile in the middle.
Zaniska to serve. Sheridan turned aside by Lamigora. They gear up for the block again. Ella Lamigora, unstoppable on the front line.
And look, you look at Lamigora, right? Not the most intimidating physically, and yet she is just hyper efficient in her blocking. It's her positioning, it's her court sense, and just really powerful at the point of attack.
Well, she got hands on that one. It just landed out of bounds. So the point to West Virginia. Well, after hitting below 100 for the entire match, the Mountaineers have turned up the heat in this 3rd set.
I mean, she's on a mission at this point. One of her more efficient performances of the season, just another step towards glory for Arizona State.
Oh, one was from 10. It comes to the near side for McGath, and she's wide.
Yeah, a really tough angle for McGath, right? Because her momentum on that slide is carrying her out of bounds to hit it right down the line. It is a really tricky shot.
So Cavallo enters the match with 23 aces, now has another service error.
And this is an Arizona State team that's been a little bit more risk averse in their serving. Last year were similar to West Virginia, right? A tiny bit more high variance. It is an area that J.J. Van Niel feels like they've underperformed their talent. He said there's certainly been improvements over the course of the year. We feel like we can do better, and they'll have to do better to win a national championship.
We talk about variance. There's also versatility in the shot selection for Tatum Parrott. That time the roll shot.
That's such a key piece. Another one of those transfers where she was the Big 12, the Big 12 all-rookie team, 2025 preseason all Big 12, and she's lived up to that.
Frame again. Is sent it over, so here's West Virginia in transition. Ibrahim cross court for the kill.
I mean, Ibrahim has really shined through. Again, it's the challenge for Jen Greeny that so many of these players that are doing well today are outgoing seniors, but it is a testament to her development, a testament to her commitment from building from the ground up, using fundamentals, and so many of her players are having career years as seniors.
Faith Frame up to 7 digs in this match as Miller gets the kill and brings the Sun Devils back within 1. But it's been the efforts of Faith Frame toward the latter side of this 3rd set that are keeping the Sun Devils in this.
You just have to be just gutty, courageous, tough to play that libero position and play it well constantly. Your body's on the line. You're the smallest player on the court, and you're taking the most hits. Faith Frame is up for that time and time again.
It's another good serve. And here's a free ball for the Sun Devils. To the middle, Neal, and she's denied. Ibrahim, and it's the Mountaineer that wins that battle.
Yeah, I think that might have been Sheridan. No, you were right, it was Ibrahim on that one. And she did such a good job holding up, to your point, against the best blocker in the Big 12.
Ibrahim, her defense showing up in this third set. Here's Presley. A lot of air on that. Did she get a touch? She did not. That went sailing toward the seats.
A little bit lighter than they did.
Kyla Presley got a run line where Betts is there. Now Sheridan. The Sun Devils keep it up. Finvold set to Horning. She'll try it again. That time goes soft. Covelt. Neal scrambles to get it. Shove far side for Press. West Virginia out of system, but they'll still get a kill off the touch. Got it over Colby Neal and Kyla Presley, and that's been hard to do.
I love the persistence from Nina Horning, right? That was on her third hit of the point. Kept calling for it back, had confidence. She said, let me recalibrate. Went fast in front, went soft in front, and then said, screw it, I'm going back line, and was able to just keep it in.
Miller into the block, calling for a point. They'll get one. That just dropped inside the line. It's Sheridan and Ibrahim again. And the Mountaineers 2 points away.
They are closing right on in. And again, this is a building moment for West Virginia that they can look back on all summer if they're able to close this out.
And J.J. Van Niel has put Noemi Glover back into the match. Will they go to 10 here? Instead, it'll be Miller. Didn't get a whole lot on that. And Ibrahim and Sheridan building a wall once again. Set point coming up for the Mountaineers.
We saw against Cincinnati, Arizona State, right, get stronger and stronger every set. A little bit of the opposite here, peaking in set 2 and this set 3.
Sway a lot in the fourth set. She's on the floor with 11 kills. Islami Gora on the near side getting a running start to open up set 4. And the Devils will claim the first point.
And look, that is a show of faith in Ella Lamigora, right? Not typically a starter, but you open this set with her because of how fantastic she's been defensively. When things were going kind of off the rails for ASU in set 3, I believe she was on the bench.
Lamigora lit up the stat sheet against Cincinnati as Sheridan. She's sent backwards on that swing. Herod has to run it down. Big contact, but it sets up Miller into the block again. And the Sun Devils cannot solve this puzzle of Sheridan and Ibrahim.
It's been a little different since the middle of set 3. I don't know what's changed other than West Virginia maybe adjusting to the speed and the diversity in this Arizona State offense, but they've just been getting to the right spots a little earlier, and then they have the athleticism to hold up once they're there.
Miller. Point for Bailey Miller.
Yeah, no holding up to that. Going after Eiley Painter, who's fantastic for West Virginia, but at 5'4", if Miller can put enough pace on that, makes it really challenging for her to dig that out.
Yeah, you'll take that matchup all day long if you're J.J. Van Niel and the Sun Devils. That's Horning. Didn't get a whole lot on it. Back to Horning. What a dig there by Faith Frame. Sheridan. That's a kill.
I mean, she's just been a different player from the second set on. We talked about her pregame, but got off to a really quiet start. And West Virginia kind of goes as she does. The bigger threat she is, the more involved she is. If they can get her on a single blocker, that's when they've had success this year.
Well, we said it at the top. It's a West Virginia team that has struggled to score, but it's been defense setting up offense since midway through the third set. Against Arizona, they were swept and ran out of gas in the third set. They lost 25-12, so this has been a reversal here in Tempe to claim the third set and force a fourth.
And you got to imagine, right, that's something Jen Greeny zoomed in on, saying, hey, I feel like we gave up in set 3 against U of A. Now against a better school, bigger stage, higher stakes, arguably with Arizona State competing for a 1 seed, West Virginia is showing a different level of fight. And it's particularly, like, it's cool to see from these seniors, right? A lot of them just transferred in, don't necessarily have that same inherent investment in this program, and Jen Greeny's still gotten that buy-in, and in what's likely to be their final college volleyball match pending a secondary postseason tournament, they're all showing out.
Finvold off the free ball, and here's Glover. Right to the hardwood.
And one spike like that can flip momentum on its head for Arizona State, right? They needed a wake-up call, and you go to your best player, Noemi Glover, a human alarm that time.
Absolute fastball from Glover, and then an ace for the Sun Devils, Bailey Miller.
Volleyball, just it's nature, right? Almost more than any other sport. Such a momentum-driven game, right? Each point is a celebration. It's a big moment. Arizona State, 2 big ones in a row.
Almost another for Miller. This time Betts able to track it down. Off the free ball. It comes to Glover. Contact with the net on a violation for West Virginia. And
all season long, and they are holding up against the best blocking team in the Big 12.
That was an incredible dig by Painter. Now the Devils go back to Glover, and she's blocked. It's an 11th for the Mountaineers, beating Arizona State at their own game.
Yeah, Horning and McGath building a sturdy roof that time. And this is the vision, right, for what West Virginia could be. We talk about how they were swept in 3 of their last 4. They took Iowa State to 5 sets. The ceiling is high for the Mountaineers. We're seeing that ceiling today.
Glover went into the block, but the point will belong to the Devils.
We said it in the open, right? She'll pick up a lot of tools just because of the velocity at which she hits. That was already her 3rd or so on the day.
There are only so many teams that can do this to Arizona State. Maddie McGath with a point for West Virginia. The Sun Devils enter this match 21st in the country and 1st overall in the conference in hitting percentage. Knocked backward. Very surprising to see. Glover, that time over the front line.
And again, we said it, but her ability to hit over the block as a defense, it puts you in such a bind. How far up do you move? Do you just give her the middle of the floor? Do you force her to paint that end line? And that's typically the solution most teams come up with. And that time, Glover getting it up and over, and Betts couldn't get there in time.
And a kill for Sheridan as West Virginia fires right back. But you go back to that swing for Noemi Glover. There are plays you can draw up. There are rotations you can design. There are some things you can't teach. Her ability to get air on her leaps, to swing over the block. That's something that J.J. Van Niel wanted when he went to the transfer portal.
And look, you can say the same thing about Trinity Sheridan. And we said it all season, but she's going to look like a different player when she has Tanton out there with her, and that's been the case this morning.
The Sun Devils get a point here. Ellie Lamagora's one-handed work to keep that up is going to be a huge reason why. Lamigora in the middle, battling near the net to set Arizona State up with its 9th point of the set.
J.J. Van Niel, when he was pondering bringing Lamigora into the program, talked to a lot of her youth coaches since they were all in the area near Tempe, and they said over and over again, she will be one of the best kids you've ever coached. And you talk to players across the board on Arizona State, that is what you hear about Ella Lamigora over and over again.
Bailey Miller using the 4 added inches of vertical for the kill. Glover with 15. She's still hitting over 600 in this match. It's been less efficient for Miller, but she's in double digits as well. It's kept up by Covell. Frame is on the floor as well. West Virginia scrambling. Here's a free ball for the Sun Devils. Miller paints the line.
Yeah, it was a big-time hustle play. We'll see it again. I believe it was Ibrahim. Look at this dive. To just punch it over, but at that point, if you're West Virginia, you're out of system, and that can be death against Arizona State, and Bailey Miller, in particular, knows how to take advantage. See the spin she put on that one, right? Looks like she's going to hit it straight, curves right into that back left corner.
So service error for the Sun Devils. West Virginia back to serve. This is who they want. Alexis Finvold to send it over. Handled by Frame. That's never easy. Miller mistimed her jump. It's a little too high as well. Arizona State is out of sequence there. The Mountaineers hanging around. You think a 3-0, 4-0 Mountaineer run here, it starts to make things a little uncomfortable. Covell. It's Presley. That's kept alive by Finvold, returning from her serve. But the Sun Devils again with Lamagora and Presley. They have tag teamed their way to several blocks. There's another.
I mean, that duo, right, is the future of Arizona State. And we say over time, J.J. Van Niel, right, wants to build up his youth. He wants to have seasons with multiple starters returning. And those two obviously will hit the portal again. I'm sure he'll come out with someone great. Those two are building blocks for this Sun Devils program.
Jillian Neal serve. And maybe had one rotation on it. Tanton, that time she didn't want to mess with the block, and Tanton's decision is fruitful.
Yeah, just a little bit of a rare misstep from Bryn Covell, who's been so excellent defensively throughout this one. Took one false step and then just couldn't recover to get to that ball. And again, Tanton, it's been selective usage for Jen Greeny. Still not quite 100% healthy off that ankle, but man, she looks so much better than she even did a game ago against Arizona.
Long ways to go for Covell. Presley still got a lot on that. It's kept alive by Finvold. It comes back to Horning. That nearly hit the scoreboard. It was vaulted so high up in the air. Did that find its way in? Yes, it did. Another block for the Sun Devils. 11 on the day.
And look, Colby Neal, right, coming off a near-career day against Cincinnati. This one's been a little bit of a tougher go for her. That was just her third block, but if she picks it up now, that's all anyone will remember.
And a service error on Arizona State as they were looking to pull away. Well, Ella Lamagora, 7 blocks in the match. She entered today needing just 4 to tie her career high. She's gone screaming past that.
It's only playing half the match, too. It is a crazy number.
Frame somehow kept that up. And it's Henry to volley it across. That went off a shoulder, and it's still alive for West Virginia. Sheridan, again with Frame going toward the floor. West Virginia with an opportunity, but Horning misfires. Frame. Horning. Sydney Henry was ready for it. Now Glover went soft that time, and it works out. Noemi Glover scales it back and sends Arizona State to a 5-point advantage.
Look, Jack, you'll appreciate this. When you're pitching 103 every time, how do you deal with the changeup then? It's so difficult as a defense. Your body's moving one way, and then all of a sudden has to jolt back.
That's just an indication of the talent in the short game for Glover as Miller comes soaring in from the back line, just missed.
Miller, in a really fun way, is just totally unbridled at times. She has some wild hits, and so many of them look like, all right, that's ending up 10 feet into the crowd, and so often she just barely keeps it in. That one a little too strong.
It's an error on Sheridan. The Devils remain up by 5. probably got to start right around now. Tedesco to serve. And off a touch. Or no, that did not get a touch, so the Devils will get a point. And Greeny is going to call for a timeout. Arizona State with its largest lead up overall in the match today. Nearly an ace for Zadiska, and the Sun Devils will get a point out of it.
And again, I look at the, not that that was like a particularly hard defensive play for Lamigora, but just the instincts, a quick dump, you don't necessarily expect it to go over. Right away, reflexes kick in, and she just returns it back.
Zadiska's been excellent serving for the Devils. Lamigora and Parrott combined for the rejection.
Yeah, this is the second run of at least 3 points in a row they've gotten when she's at the service line. She's been a good omen for Arizona State today.
8 blocks for Lamigora to tie a season high. Arizona State just served into the net. She's passed her career high for a season. That's after Lamigora basically checked every box against Cincinnati.
Again, J.J. Van Niel describes her as crafty, right? Not necessarily the athleticism that Glover has, but there's some real power there in her own right? You don't become an All-American. You don't become the most impressive player in the history of a program without having that kind of athletic pop, and a rare opportunity for Parrott to show it.
Sun Devils have had good success getting athletes and coaches from Grand Canyon University over the last couple of months. That was another heavy swing, and this time West Virginia is going to get a point. Of course, after this match, Arizona State women's basketball takes to this court here at Desert Financial Arena against Southeast Missouri State. A business to take care of in the finale of the regular season for the Sun Devils under J.J. Van Niel. Presley. They are 4 points away.
I mean, that is special power from Presley to get a tool on that back row. Just a lightning strike.
You think about last year when the Devils went 13-0 at home, had that long winning streak going into the NCAA tournament, as Sheridan gets a kill to keep it going for West Virginia. Kind of has that same feeling to it this year. Dominant at home, very good against unranked competition, taking care of who you need to take care of. The Devils looking to win 8 straight going into Selection Sunday.
And this would be 20 out of 21 as well, right? Those 2 early season losses, and other than that, a one-time slip-up in 5 sets against Iowa State. They've won everything else since that loss to Texas.
And Iowa State is now ranked a large part because they beat Arizona State. So even though it's a loss to an unranked opponent, there's no losses on the schedule against teams that are currently unranked.
No, and Iowa State is a super talented team. I remember I did that game last year when they came to Tempe. We're super injured. They've gotten healthy. They're going to be an interesting team here in December.
Jillian Neal will check in. Faith Frame is out. Here's Neal to serve. Finvold will set. It's Sheridan through the middle. Block touch from Colby Neal. Comes back to Kyla Presley. Redshirt freshman, part of the future, has put Arizona State 2 points away on senior day.
And here's where it's so challenging for West Virginia. You have Miller on the left side, and you have Neal in the middle. Presley's the third threat, but she plays like a top threat.
To put a pin on Iowa State, Arizona State contending for a #1 overall seed. The Cyclones currently projected on the 5 line. So many great teams in the Big 12. West Virginia hoping to become one of them as Jen Greeny continues to build this program.
And again, Sheridan, it's been in fits and spurts tonight, but you are seeing why she was so effective early this season. She'll have 1 more year in Morgantown, so someone that's exciting to watch down the road.
West Virginia, their defense has traveled from Morgantown. The Sun Devils hitting under 300 for the match. But it's been mistakes like that that you just can't afford to make against Arizona State that has brought the crowd to its feet for what could be the final time in the regular season. Senior Day tournament. Toward the back line, it's just too far.
I mean, Sydney Henry wanted it there, right? She said, let me end this. Just slightly overhit.